So the inevitable happened. De Ruyter resigned.
Very much so. De Ruyter resigned as of this morning. So by the time you see this, it would have been yesterday. Byron doesn't want to tell anyone, but I had a sniff of this quite a few weeks ago where I told him that this would be the case. But the inevitable has happened. Andre De Ruyter has resigned. And I think it's important for people to understand he was a competent person, right? A lot of people might be thinking, oh, thank goodness he's gone. He was useless because he's white, whatever the case might be. No, he was a very, very competent person. If you look at what he did at Sasol, he made the businesses within Sasol some of the most successful ones, the ones that he headed. At the end of the day, the guy was competent. And I think that's important for people to understand. What does it say about a company where a competent person can no longer work in good faith?
Problem is that the majority of people, including the ANC, don't understand how a business works. CEOs don't fix the problems of the business. They run the business and they make it profitable. So De Ruyter's had to come in here and look at it as a businessman, as a CEO, and his primary obligation was to restore the balance sheet, restore it to profitability. And if you look at what De Ruyter's done, he has done just that. Because the easiest way for you to restore profitability of any business is to look at leakage. So what did De Ruyter do? He said, well, we've got a lot of expenditure and a lot of it's on these corrupt tenders. This is the guys that, if you will recall, were selling mops and toilet papers to Eskom for hundreds of thousands of rands. He came in and he said, nah, this won't work. What he then looked to do is he looked to streamline the processes, specifically debt collection. Can't earn a profit if I don't get paid. So what did he do? He went to all the municipalities and said, pay me. This is what a good, competent CEO should do. But De Ruyter has been criticized because what he didn't do is act as an engineer on the ground floor, fixing one of the power stations as it went offline. We have heard from Gwen and Natasha say, oh, the CEO of Eskom needs to be an engineer. No, it doesn't. The CEO of Eskom needs to be a person who understands how to run a business and restore its profitability. The people that work for him needs to be engineers. The people that work for him needs to restore it so that the product, in this instance electricity, that they are paying for is delivered as per the customer's expectation. That's how you run a business. But unfortunately, we live in a country that's ruled by communists. They have zero experience of running a business. The only thing these guys ever created was forms of corruption and looting scandals. So they have no idea how an actual business operates. And so from a business perspective, De Ruyter did what he would be expected to do of Eskom. At what point do you, as a businessman, as a man of integrity, or as a man with your own personal honor, at what point do you say, I will no longer be the scapegoat and I will no longer be talked to in this manner? And you know, there is an easier way to make a buck. And I think that's what we got today.
Absolutely. So I think it's important. As a CEO, I think you're spot on in terms of what a CEO is supposed to do. The Eskom CEO has two things. Number one, try to diminish load shedding as much as possible. Number two, while trying to do that, try keep the tenderpreneurship and the patronage flowing towards the ANC. And he's failed at both because the one causes the other, right? The tenderpreneurship causes the load shedding. It causes the debt. It causes all sorts of things. So I think at the time when he was CEO, when he started, Cyril told him, listen, you need anything, you let me know. So when De Ruyter became CEO, my sources say he was given sort of a blank check to do whatever he needs to do to make Eskom solvent again. Then as soon as he started actually looking at the oil tenders and looking at the coal tenders and looking at all those things and he wanted to cancel them, the board called him a racist. And when he needed help the most from the president or the ministers or anything like that, they didn't do a single thing to lift a finger. And this is the result. You've got a competent person who is now out of a job because he's probably been offered something much better somewhere else in the world. And I would assume it would be somewhere else in the world because I don't think his safety is terribly guaranteed in South Africa as we speak.
Yeah, let's not forget that De Ruyter is responsible for cancelling a number of corrupt contracts. And he has on record in the past said that his life is under constant threat in the country because of stopping all of the corruption that has been going on at Eskom. Right now, it's also being rumoured that the other 3 board members of Eskom who work alongside De Ruyter will be resigning shortly also. In which case, what you will find is that the entire board of Eskom will disappear. Eskom will be rudderless, right in the middle of stage 6, stage 7, load shedding. It's done, man. It's done.
It is, and I think we need to understand why he chose to resign. I think it was inevitable because I truly believe that Gwede Matashi did not want Andre De Ruyter to be there. He was on the record for saying Eskom wants to overthrow the state and agitating for the overthrowing of the state through stage 6 load shedding. Pravin Gordhan put him under pressure as well, saying that he asked Eskom to, with immediate effect, take South Africa out of stage 6 load shedding. And if you put in the Phala Phala scandal, and with the vote that happened in Parliament this week, maybe a deal was struck where the MPs had to follow Cyril. In return, Cyril had to get rid of Eskom CEO, because the CEO was the one that might be tightening the taps of the patronage network. That's what my sources say right now. Of course, this is just speculation.
I think it's also kind of telling that we had two forms of news today. The first was kind of quite good to see. That was that Schloppe finally got suspended. So the president actually got his act together and suspended the guy. And in the same day, Eskom had the resignation of the Ruyter. So this is a typical symptom of South Africa, isn't it? It's like one step forward, two steps back. And this is why we never seem to kind of get anywhere.
So the real question is, what is up now with Eskom? What is the future? Well, I don't know how much worse it can be other than a total blackout, because someone said on Twitter the other day, and it's a very good point, Eskom's not a energy generation company. It's a load shedding management company at the end of the day. Because without Eskom, there's a total blackout. With Eskom, they're trying to manage the load accordingly. I actually think silver lining in all of this is that privatization is just going to be something that just has to happen because there's nothing else to do. If you got one of the best guys in the job to try to fix Eskom and he can't do it, no one else can. Let's be really honest with ourselves.
No, and it's not going to get better. This is what I think is going to happen. I think the government's going to throw all the amount of money that they can at Eskom. It's going to go nowhere. What do I base it on? I base it on the fact that, again, news this morning was that PRASA has pissed away 7.6 billion on the upgrade of their railway lines that are never going to happen. Apparently, that 6.7 billion is all under review because it's all going to companies that, guess what, can't do the work. But that's okay because they were BEE contracts. And that's just going to happen again at Eskom. So there we go. We're going to have failed water, failed electricity, and failed rail. Why would we expect anything different from a failed ANC?
Indeed, and a failed country. So we actually welcome Andre de Ruyter's resignation. We think that any semblance of competence in the state needs to be completely excised from the state, and the true face of the state can show itself. I mean, it has been showing itself. Not many people believe in it still, but if someone like de Ruyter can be the final death knell of ANC rule. Because guys, remember, 2024 is coming up. It's 18 months to go. That's not very long. They are not going to fix anything during the period of time. So let's see. I doubt this is very good news for the ANC. It's not good news for the country, but it's very much not good news for the ANC as well. So there's your silver lining. And another silver lining, a very small one, is that this Christmas, you will have no choice but to be with your family and enjoy their company. There won't be any Netflix. There will be candles all over the place. Your phone will be dead because there's no power. That's something nice. A proper Christmas with your family, face to face, over a braai. Perfect. There's your silver lining. Thank you for watching, everyone. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.